to emotionally mobilize support beyond the valley. The networks are facilitated through forged documents, local touts and safe houses, funded by hawala transfers from Bangladesh and West Asia. Intelligence inputs indicate Pakistan's ISI views Rohingya networks as low-cost, high-deniability assets for logistics and narrative warfare, keeping activities below escalation thresholds. This is the latest that we're getting on this now. For more on this, we're being joined by Siddhant Mishra. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Please, if you could just, for the benefit of our viewers, spell out this entire nexus that we're given to understand is operating.
Well, that's right. In fact, the other day, Manoj Gupta reported this for us, that how ISI has got, Pakistan has got ISI office inside the Pakistan High Commission in Bangladesh. And in fact, now we're getting to know that Indian intelligence agencies have flagged a new security challenge emerging out of Bangladesh crisis. Hostile actors are exploiting political unrest and weak border surveillance in Bangladesh to push a second wave of Rohingya migration into India. Now, as per the estimate, 30,000 to 40,000 Rohingyas are already in the country, with fresh infiltration attempts rising. Now, the strategic objective, sources say, is to internationalize a Kashmir-centric narrative, projecting Kashmir as the global symbol of Muslim persecution, to emotionally mobilize support beyond the valley. The networks are facilitated through forged documents, local touts, and safe houses funded by hawala transfers from Bangladesh and West Asia. In fact, this also is low-cost, high-deniability asset for logistics and narrative warfare, keeping activities below escalation threshold for the ISI. So, in fact, we have been reporting from day one that how ISI has definitely been actively involved in exploiting situation in Bangladesh. Perhaps ISI, from a very long time, want to open this new front for India, so that the focus of the Indian government shifts to the eastern borders, and deliberate attempts have been made. There have been multiple meetings between the ISI chief and ISI officials and Bangladesh intel officials. There have been multiple meetings between the army generals of both the countries. In fact, in the past, we reported that now there is a visa-free travel for the Pakistani nationals to Bangladesh. Trade has got restarted, etc., etc. So completely at all levels, Yunus interim government is cozying up with the Pakistan, right. And perhaps this is definitely a concern for India.
Right, Siddhant, just a couple of things that I also wanted to see clarity on. We have, of course, seen how Mohammed Yunus has turned a blind eye to all that is happening in Bangladesh when it comes to Hindu minorities. Also, that being said, I just wanted to bring your focus back to this one particular line, low-cost, high-deniability targets. So if you could just explain that to our viewers, and also if you would say that this is a diversionary tactic.
Well, that's
is that
right.
what we're looking at?
Yes, it's a diversionary tactic. Also, why Manoj is reporting that it's a low-cost, high-value, deniable asset, because this situation is already fluid when it comes to Rohingyas. In fact, many of them have already got infiltrated into the country. Many are, attempting to infiltrate. So, the expenditure for ISI is less. Then it also has a deniability. Tomorrow they will say, if some situation arises in India, that we are not behind it, we are not officially doing anything. India is simply blaming us. And these groups are, as I said, the situation is so fluid that these groups are ready to do whatever they are asked to do at a very less cost, perhaps. So that is what Manoj is highlighting in this story. So it's kind of a best bet for ISI against India, given the situation in Bangladesh. Also, as we were discussing before, that it definitely India will definitely be concerned about this particular development.
Right. For more on this, we're also now being joined by Major General K.K. Sinha. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. I want to come to you and ask you what your opinion of this is. We're given to understand that hostile actors exploiting this political unrest that we're seeing between Bangladesh and India right now.
Jai Hind and good morning. See, the sinister design, which has been designed like that, to actually, surround India from two directions, east and west. This is happening, and it is a design. Design started actually with the St. Martin Island, when the CIA, United States of America wanted to do something. And the Pakistan has jumped into it, and including the China has taken the. Now the security challenge is especially with the ISI design. It is working because if you heard, the way the Yunus came in power and then he has gone to China and stated, very, very sinister design, saying that the seven sisters of our, that is the northeast states, which is landlocked and the guardian of the seas, the Bangladesh. And they, this gives you a absolutely a sinister design, and it has got, backing of China. If you remember, when these people met after Operation Sindhur in China, Bangladesh were there, Pakistan was there in China. They try to make the trilateral in this area. This is not an instant stage. The ISI has got the full, footprint in that area, and they're trying to do it. They will able to do something, or it is just the counter that. And what the Chinese are doing it, basically they wanted to have the string of pearls. That was reversed by India. And totally, they are been outflanked on that. So they are trying to do it again. We are all aware exactly what is happening. Notice the channel. And it is also coming from the, what is happening, you can see from the Pakistan side. They are in a problem. They want to release it through this. If something they do it, some release will come. Because the Pakistan is facing, upfront from Afghanistan, it is coming from Balochistan. So they are trying to, these are the games, static game and the military game which is being played. But we have to also smart this, and we have to be very, very absolutely reading the things well. We may be, having the patience, and this is a strategic patience we call. We are having with the Northeast, and especially with Bangladesh. But I think, everything is around control. You know that Eastern Command is absolutely now in a war, like scenario there. We understand that 30 to 40,000 Rohingyas. This was the problem. This 30 to 40,000. And we have got the people within who is supporting. That is, we have to cut it. Otherwise, we will take care of this, whatever they do is strategically in this region.
All right, Major General Sinha, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with your insights on this also. We'll, of course, continue to track all developments on this front closely. Shifting our focus now. Actor Samantha Prabhu had an unpleasant experience recently when she was mobbed by fans at an event in Jubilee Hills, Hyderabad, highlighting growing concerns over celebrity safety. After attending a showroom inauguration, the actor faced chaos. She was being pushed as fans surrounded her car in a rush to take selfies with the actor. The incident has sparked outrage online, especially as actress Nidhi Agarwal had earlier faced a similar situation at a mall event earlier, with netizens urging organizers to act more responsibly and to ensure better security for celebrities at such events. All right, for more on this, we have PV Ramanna live with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you could just tell us what we're seeing here, on the visuals that we get here, absolutely terrifying. If you could just tell us what transpired.
Yeah, Samantha Ruth Prabhu faced very unpleasant experience yesterday when she was attending a mall opening function here in Hyderabad. Recently, we witnessed Nidhi Agarwal also faced the same kind of problem. After completion of the event, Samantha came out and she is trying to get into her car. Suddenly, some of the fans, we can say them as a fans, whatever it is, but the people came over there and they tried to take selfies, and they tried to take selfies, and they tried to push Samantha in back. So it was very unpleasant incident was happened yesterday. Actually, yesterday was even the organizer has to take the proper what we call, they have to take proper security measures for these kind of the festivals, these kind of the incident. But these kind of things, even Nidhi Agarwal also faced the same kind of incident in the recently Lulu Mall in Hyderabad. When she was getting into her car, some people tried to touch. In fact, netizens also experiencing their anger in the social media, and they are saying that people should have proper civic sense, and even the organizers also take the proper security measures for these kind of events. I have to say how the organizers will react and how the police will react in this kind of incident, because police has to take the proper measures for these kind of incidents or issues also, because they have to the mall of whatever the event organized in Hyderabad, they should inform the police, and police should take the proper security measures for the celebrities who is attending these kind of functions.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. There another very shocking incident. The visuals are on your screens right now. There are people in a rush to take selfies with the actor, completely being pushed by all those present there. Now, let's just go back to Ramana for more on this. Of course, as you were mentioning, there is a need for more security measures to be put in place when such large-scale events are being organized. We've seen what happened just a few days ago with Nidhi Agarwal as well, when she was mobbed by a bunch of fans there at another event at a mall there. For more on this, we have Abha Singh with us. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Another such incident, a lot of people, netizens saying that these are predators, not fans, the way the actors here are being treated. What's your take on this?
I would blame the PR companies for this. They just send out invites and they put it on social media, and that is the result that so many people get to know and we all reach. They don't inform the police, so then there is no crowd control or mob control exercise, that there are not sufficient policemen around, and that is why this is not the first. This is the second incident which has happened where a media personality has been mobbed, touched inappropriately. It is very disgusting. So I think the event management companies should be held accountable, that they will send out minimum invites, or if they are putting it on public domain, then police needs to know, and also a crowd control mechanism should be in place.
Absolutely, as you mentioned also, and this is exactly what we were reporting on, that clearly there aren't enough security measures in place to ensure that the event goes on smoothly just days after what we saw happen with Nidhi Agarwal. Also, of course, this is absolutely unacceptable. That being said, if you were to send out a message to the PR agencies, to the event organizers, really what should they be doing in this sort of a situation?
Number one, I think in these two incidents, first an FIR to be registered for a vigilant act for endangering the life of these young stars, because only then these PR companies and event organizers will become accountable. We have seen in UP also, if you remember, so many people died because there was a Baba doing some preachings and local villagers turned up and there was a stampede. So these things are happening, and just for money and trying to know that you are getting more people, these people have gone berserk. So I think the PR companies need to be responsible. The stars should also put their foot down, that we are agreeing, but we will not, we are agreeing on one condition, that there will be not public around much, and our security has to be utmost priority. So these things should be put down even by the stars, because just to become viral, you cannot endanger your life, or even the fans, they can be crushed. If you remember, in Tamil Nadu, for the actor Vijay, 41 people died in a stampede. So it is both ways, for the stars and for the fans. You're risking their lives.
Right, absolutely. Though I also want to talk to you about the role of the people who are gathered here. We're seeing all this in a rush to perhaps get a selfie with the actor. The number of men who are there pushing her around, Nidhi Agarwal as well. What do you have to say about that?
It is the common man which makes these stars, and in India we have these things. We treat the Bollywood, the film stars, or the cricketers like God. So this craze to have a selfie. If you see in India, the highest number of selfie deaths take place in India in the world. People on top of a cliff, near a river, try to take a selfie and they risk their lives. So here, when people are ready to risk their lives, they would give anything to have a selfie with the film star. So this also needs to be checked. There should be bouncers and they should ensure that nobody comes for a selfie. Make it a rule, no selfie. I mean, that also should be done, because a lot of stars, senior stars have expressed unhappiness because they've been mobbed, they've been inappropriately touched. So I think the selfie culture needs to be stopped.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with your perspective on this. Now let's shift our focus. Even as AQI remains in the poor category in the national capital, Delhi minister says we can expect a better AQI level from tomorrow onwards. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta convenes a cabinet meeting on pollution, which is expected at 12 p.m. So a tall claim there that we can expect better AQI by tomorrow. On what basis this claim has been made, we're not very sure, but let's just listen into this first.
आज सभी एमसीडी के डिप्टी कमिश्नर्स डीपीसीसी के साथ जो अनऑथराइज्ड इंडस्ट्री है उसका भी सीलिंग का प्रोसेस एमसीडी की तरफ से शुरू किया गया है। 3 तरह की दिल्ली में इंडस्ट्री है, एक ऑथराइज्ड इंडस्ट्री है, एक रेगुलाइज्ड इंडस्ट्री है और तीसरी इलीगल है। जो इलीगल इंडस्ट्री है इसको 100% किसी भी कैटेगरी में हो, पोल्यूटिंग हो या नॉन पोल्यूटिंग हो, ये माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट का आदेश है कि इनको तुरंत बंद किया जाए। इसलिए एमसीडी इनके ऊपर भी कार्रवाई कर रही है। पोल्यूटिंग इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर सख्त तौर के ऊपर आज से एक्सटेंसिव, जैसे मैंने बताया, ड्राइव के चलते इन सबको बंद किया जाएगा। कल के बाद कुछ मौसम के बेहतर होने की आशंका है, जो जानकारी मौसम विभाग से आ रही है। कल के बाद कुछ बेहतरी की उम्मीद है, उससे AQI और ठीक होगा। दिल्ली के अंदर निरंतर रात को सड़कों की सफाई धुलाई का काम चल रहा है। दिल्ली में जो हमारा डंप्स हैं उनमें से औसतन रोज 35,000 मैट्रिक टन कूड़ा आज हम बायोमाइनिंग करके हटा रहे हैं, जिस कूड़े को हटने से दिल्ली का पोल्यूशन कम हो रहा है। और दिल्ली के अंदर पिछली जो ड्राइव चलाई गई थी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री रेखा गुप्ता जी की तरफ से कि दिल्ली को मलबा मुक्त भी किया जाए। मिट्टी एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है, डस्ट जो कारण है।
All right, for more on this, we have Simran Babbar live with us. Simran, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, there the minister saying that we are expecting better AQI tomorrow onwards, and that's apparently we're relying on the rain here to do that for us. What can you tell us, Simran?
Well, this is an elaborative statement coming at this point of time by Delhi Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa, as in the recent comments has given out some relief for the Delhiites, as everyone who's out there on the streets continue to choke. While we speak of the deteriorating state of the AQI in the national capital and the NCR regions ever since there was an onset of the winters, right now in the statements as confirmed by the Environment Minister, what we can expect is likely a relief from the soaring AQI levels, as there have been the GRAP 4 norms that have been put in effect in the national capital to have a larger implications on the rising pollution levels in the national capital. But so far that has not been able to fetch the AQI data down, as over the last few weeks the AQI levels in the national capital have continued to be in either the very poor, severe or hazardous category. Even this morning as well, if we also speak about the data as per the CPCB website, as 7 a.m. as per 7 a.m. 336 was the number that was clocked this morning early as an average data of the national capital. But we speak of the Environment Minister, who has also given out a big information, as the Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta is going to conduct a special meeting of the cabinet and with the senior officials in within the Delhi government on the pollution. And after that, there is also going to be likely a rather stricter enforcement of the rules and the implementation of the guidelines on the pollution, as the Delhi Environment Minister has categorically said that action has been kicked in. But there are several other pollution hub factories and these industries in far off areas of the national capital who are not adhering to the norms and the guidelines which are in a part of the GRAP 4. So that is why it is important that it is also a warning that now no other actions will be taken except sealing them. This is a very stringent measure that Delhi government has finally decided to take in regards with the situation that continues to be very concerning for the people of Delhi.
Absolutely.
We continue to breathe this hazy smoke and it potentially is risking our lives to threat. Back to you.
All right. Well, Simran, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. We'll, of course, continue to keep a track on that as well. Let's shift our focus and now Bengali singer Lagnajita Chakrabarti's concert, which took a turn when Mehboob Malik, the event organizer and also the school owner, allegedly harassed her for singing a devotional song. The song in question is called Jago Ma, instead of a secular one. Malik reportedly stormed onto the stage, abused her, attempted to assault her, shouting, "Enough of Jago Ma, now you need to sing something secular." Chakrabarti stopped her performance, lodged a complaint at the local police station. The singer also alleged that the officer in charge of the Bhagwanpur police station refused to file a case. Malik was then arrested and a departmental inquiry was initiated against the officer in charge of Bhagwanpur police station for alleged negligence. The incident has sparked a political row, with the BJP alleging Malik is a local Trinamool Congress leader and has accused the state government of adopting an anti-Hindu approach. However, TMC has distanced itself from Malik's actions.
This is an unknown Bengal, like suddenly, this is not only a shock, but isn't this a surprise, and is this not an unknown Bengal suddenly coming up in front of you?
It is very surprising. It is very surprising, but what is still keeping me confident is the fact that I really have a lot of faith in my police and my administration. I again have a show on the 26th of this month in Arambagh. And just like last evening, I will be performing Jago Ma as the 7th number of my show list. And I am very confident that on the 26th, I will sing Jago Ma, and the police and the administration will ensure that I do not get beaten up after singing Jago Ma. And I am very confident of it. I am definite I will come back home on 26th night without being beaten up.
अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट है उसके जब भी हम लोगों का द मोमेंट वी केम टू नो अबाउट दैट हम लोगों ने तुरंत उसको अरेस्ट करने के लिए हम लोग डिसाइड किए तो उसके बाद से रेड चल रहा था ही वाज एब्सकॉन्डिंग मोबाइल बंद करके लेकिन हम लोगों ने उसको पकड़ लिया है तो आज पकड़ा गया है कल हम लोग को कोर्ट में पेश करेंगे और उसके बाद रिमांड का प्रेयर करेंगे और आगे का जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन है उसको हम लोग आगे ले जाएंगे तो इसमें जो इसको बोलते हैं हम लोग ये थोड़ा लैकडाइजिकल था कि कुछ नेग्लिजेंस था उसके चलते हम लोग डिपार्टमेंटल इंक्वायरी हैज़ बीन इनिशिएटेड वो एसडीपीओ जो है एक एसडीपीओ डीएसपी रैंक का ऑफिशियल यहाँ का एसडीपीओ करेंगे जो फाइंडिंग्स आएगा उस पर हम लोग कार्रवाई करेंगे.
All right, for more on this, we have Kamalika Sengupta with us. Kamalika, let me just come back to you. Of course, we're given to understand that Malik was arrested. I just want to know if perhaps we have any information of a statement that he's made in this case also.
Till now, there has been no statement from Malik. What we are coming to know that his family said that this has been blown out of proportion, something like that in his defense. But Malik has not given any comment. But this is definitely a question that under what circumstance, who gave this audacity to this person? These are certain questions which can be raised because this is something which is absolutely uncalled for. This is something which is has never happened. And how dare that he can say something like that. Though BJP is saying that he is a person for Trinamool Congress, but Trinamool Congress locally has done a press conference and has clearly stated that he has no relationship with Trinamool Congress. He absolutely is not identified with Trinamool Congress. That's what the sources are saying. That's what the Trinamool Congress on ground is saying.
All right, Kamalika, thank you so much for that. We'll, of course, continue to keep a track on this also. And, of course, we are getting more reactions to this entire case. Let's listen into this.
देखिए, लग्नजीता चक्रवर्ती एमिनेंट सिंगर, उसका साथ जो हुआ है वो अनफॉर्चुनेट है। जिस आदमी ने ऐसा किया वो गलत किया, पुलिस स्टेप ले रहा है। और लग्नजीता जी जो गाना गाए थे उसमें कोई दोष नहीं था। लग्नजीता चक्रवर्ती एक बार क्यों बार बार वो गाना गा सकती है।
All right, with that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. So stay tuned.
Political parties less than 2%. For 20 years, we've been at it through power shifts and wars, financial upheavals, and inspiring triumphs. We were the constant in a whirlpool of change. For 20 years, we worked with one guiding philosophy: to chase the truth, to make sense. Celebrating 20 years of CNN News 18 makes sense.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
All right, welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, here's what we're bringing for you right now. Home Minister G. Parmeshwara has said that the High Command should put an end to all the confusion before the budget. The High Command should clarify things at the earliest. This is the statement that we're getting right now, and that there should be no confusion. A statement by Home Minister G. Parmeshwara.
ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡಿನ ಯಾವುದೇ ತೀರ್ಮಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅನೇಕ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈಗಲೂ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನಂದು. ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ನವರು ಏನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದಂತೂ ನಿಜ, ನಾವು ಈಗ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಗೆಹರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ನವರು ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಿಳಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದೂ ಗೊಂದಲ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ. ಈಗೇನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅವರೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಇವರೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಈ ರೀತಿಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಅವು ಯಾವೂ ಕೂಡ ಬರದ ಹಾಗೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವೇನು ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಮಿಸ್ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೋಬೇಕು.
All right, now amid all the mounting speculation and the rumors over a possible change of Chief Minister that we've been tracking for you here on CNN News 18 as well. Now, of course, the party leadership is asking that there should be clarity and that the High Command should come out and give certainty to the people and put an end to this confusion, a demand that they've made previously. Also, for more on this, we have Afreen with us. Afreen, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Afreen, we've seen this entire thing play out. We saw those breakfast meets also. Confusion very much still persists. What can you tell us, Afreen?
Well, after the breakfast meeting, we saw both the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister put up a united front, go out and tell the people that they're together. But very recently, on the last day of the Legislative Assembly in Belagavi, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah asserted that he was elected for a whole 5-year term and there was no 2.5-year power sharing pact between him and DK Shivkumar. Now, that is where all the confusion again has come to surface, and we saw that after that, DK Shivkumar went on to say that there was an understanding that was brought between me and the Chief Minister by the High Command. Now the rumors and the chatter about the power sharing pact is back in news after Chief Minister Siddaramaiah said that there was no power sharing pact, and DK Shivkumar saying that both of us have an understanding. Now what is the understanding? When will this confusion be solved? Even Home Minister Parmeshwara is asking the High Command to put an end to all of this confusion. He says that as soon as possible before the budget, it would be better if the High Command puts an end to all the confusion so as the government can go on and fulfill the promise that they have made to the people and present a people-oriented budget is what Home Minister Parmeshwara has said.
Absolutely, Afreen. It is that alleged 2023 pact that keeps coming up, and what sort of an understanding they share amongst themselves. We have no understanding of that at this point. We'll continue to track this closely for you there. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18.
Many things have changed in the last 20 years, but our partnership with you only got stronger.
Political parties.
RTI enabled India's right to know.
System needs to become more transparent.
We saw terrorism's deadliest face.
This is a terror attack on Mumbai.
Visuals that will haunt Mumbai.
A crisis that plunged the nation in panic.
We are faced with a global slowdown.
We saw India becoming cricket champs after 28 years. The nation chose a strong new leader.
Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
Indian Army. India attacking terror on enemy soil.
Special forces crept behind enemy lines.
An invisible threat brought the nation to a standstill.
Not a single soul out here.
A space flight that filled every Indian with pride.
It's a very special liftoff.
Well, only the G.
India taking its place among global leaders.
One Earth, one family, one future.
Time ticked on. The headlines kept changing. But we stood with you with the same energy, the same resolve. Celebrating 20 years of CNN News 18. Makes sense. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
In an interview, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, spoke on the rising anti-India sentiment that we're seeing in Bangladesh and has blamed Mohammed Yunus. Information in an interview, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, spoke on the rising anti-India sentiment that we're seeing in Bangladesh and has blamed Mohammed. Welcome back to CNN News 18 with me, Hem Kaur Surya, and here's a look at what we're tracking for you right now. Now, Prime Minister Modi held a telephone conversation with the Prime Minister of New Zealand. The two leaders were given to understand have jointly announced a landmark India-New Zealand free trade agreement. The leaders have agreed that the FTA would further serve as a catalyst for greater trade, further investment, innovation and shared opportunities for both the nations. The leaders have also welcomed progress in other areas of bilateral cooperation, which includes defense, sports, education and people-to-people ties. So we're getting reports that India and New Zealand have finalized a free trade agreement. This is what we're hearing right now. For more on this, we have Payal Mehta live with us. Good morning, Payal. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, big news there of an FTA between India and New Zealand. What is your assessment?
As far as India's progress is really concerned, this is one big step in that direction, given the fact that India has been able to sign a trade agreement, much to the need of the people over here, whether it's strategic investment that you're talking about, whether it's bilateral economic engagement, enhancement of market access, promoting investment strength in the strategic cooperation between the two countries. And of course, it opens up in various sectors as well. Remember, dairy was one sector that was non-negotiable as far as India was really concerned, and dairy is one very, very staple, I think, as far as New Zealand is concerned. But India has been able to strike a chord and strike a partnership with New Zealand, living up to what we really stand up for as well. So that big achievement coming through. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking to his New Zealand counterpart, the Kiwi part that he spoke to, has also assured that there is greater strength that's going to be built with this cooperation. And in a short while from now, you will see Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister, in fact, highlight what the nuances of this trade deal really mean. So after UK, the big trade deal that we now have is that of New Zealand, which was of course pursued by the Commerce Minister himself when he went to New Zealand a couple of months ago.
Of course, Pal, as you mentioned, India, of course, would want to shield its dairy industry from imports as well. And this also gives New Zealand access to India's huge market. That being said, if you could just spell it out for our viewers, what this practically means for India going forward.
Well, of course, it means more markets opening up for India. It means more investments that are going to come in as well in various sectors, like you mentioned, in education, in sports. Remember, New Zealand is famous for its sport. New Zealand is very, very famous for its tourist, attractions as well. So that is something which can also be a form of exchange in terms of economic growth and economic cooperation that one can really see. We'll have to just wait and see what are the fine prints as far as that is concerned. We'll have to wait for Piyush Goyal to highlight those fine prints. But as of now, the Prime Minister's conversation with the New Zealand counterpart tells you what this deal really means as well. And we've been able to strike one after the other important deals as far as India's welfare is really concerned.
Right, now we also have with us Pallavi. Thank you so much for joining us, Pallavi. Of course, the leaders have agreed that this FTA would serve as a catalyst for greater trade, greater investment and further deepening bilateral cooperation between the two. What can you tell us?
See, what is happening is a strategy which is coming in play between India and the other countries. Even as everyone talks about where is the US-India trade deal heading, India's two-pronged approach, one, has been to first, obviously, Atmanirbhar Bharat, which means you develop yourself so much that you are no longer dependent on imports and you also find a domestic market. But given the global scenario, global markets cannot be ignored. So the alternative which has been worked upon is what is called the FTAs or the Free Trade Agreement. Now, this makes it the seventh free trade agreement which India has signed. The latest one, of course, being that of New Zealand, which is what we are talking about, which extends to various fields. For example, education, there is health, there is, of course, some of the products, consumer items and so on and so forth. We've signed a similar FTA. I think one of the most notable ones was with UK when the Prime Minister himself was present there. We've signed with Oman for that matter and many other countries. So this is the seventh FTA or the free trade agreement. Bilaterals or one-on-one kind of trade agreements is what India is focusing on. One thing, however, is very important and to clear up is that whenever we sign these free trade agreements, India's interest will not be compromised, which means dairy, agro products, that is not going to be compromised. New Zealand, for example, has a lot of dairy industry, but India is very clear that over 12 lakh of dairy farmers in India, we cannot afford to open up this market completely. Very limited manner, yes, but not completely. So the fine print of the FTA is going to be spelled out by Mr. Piyush Goyal at the press conference which is holding at noon. But more or less, India has stood firm on this. Our national interest comes first, despite these FTAs that we keep on signing.
Absolutely, of course, as you mentioned, also we are waiting to read the fine print. Pal, if I could just come back to you, when we talk about further deepening collaboration and cooperation when it comes to defense, sports and education, in what ways do you reckon we can see that manifest going forward?
Yes, it's a big way forward, like Pallavi was just mentioning. 7 FTA agreements we've signed up with, and not to take away from the fact that India has had a hard negotiating skill in place in the form of the government representatives who have gone to multiple places. But just to add and just to tell our viewers that even though we do not have a trade agreement so far with the US, but the trades have certainly the exports have certainly been on the rise. That is one big silver lining as far as India's growth story is really concerned. That we do not have a trade agreement so far with the US, but when you look at the details that have been shared by the Commerce Ministry to a parliamentary committee, you actually understand that the trades have constantly been on the rise as well. So obviously, it's onwards and upwards as far as India is concerned. And like Pallavi was just mentioning, that India has said that no compromise with Indian interests, no compromise with Indian farmers, Indian dairy industry. We are not going to compromise on this, which are going to be at the forefront of our negotiating skills as well. And therefore, the Prime Minister also in the past has said that if he has to pay a price for anything, he is willing to pay a price, but he won't let the country suffer. He'll put the country first and everything else later as well. So over to Mr. Piyush Goyal. Let's see what the fine print of the deal really is. But it's been a successful run so far as India is concerned, whether it's Oman, whether it's UK and now New Zealand.
Right, absolutely. Now, also the information that's really important to point out for our viewers, this is India's 7th free trade agreement in the last few years after Oman, UK, EFTA countries, UAE, Australia and Mauritius. So this is a huge development, as Payal has been mentioning also. Payal, let me just come back to you. Of course, when we're seeing hard negotiations between India and the United States also, where also, as you mentioned, India has very much made it clear that they're not going to be sacrificing on their interest. They are not going to budge when it comes to agriculture, dairy. That's something similar that we also saw in the case of New Zealand. So in light of that, how do you assess this?
To talk about this openly, Pallavi and I were part of an off-record briefing that Mr. Piyush Goyal had with us a few months ago. And the first question that we did ask him is that, what about the dairy products? What about the dairy industry? Because that is going to be completely non-negotiable as far as New Zealand is concerned. He had very sternly and very importantly told us that we will not compromise with our our interests come what may, and we will work that thing around as well. And here we are, and we've negotiated well with New Zealand. We have things in place. The dairy industry stands non-negotiable, even though it is a staple as far as New Zealand is really concerned. So obviously that is something which India has been able to do. India has been able to negotiate on its own terms. And I remember very clearly Piyush Goyal had said a few weeks ago, Pallavi, if you remember, that we will not allow anybody to put the bullet on our head and get anything signed as well. So India is negotiating pretty well, even though the big thing awaited is what happens to the India-US trade agreement.
Absolutely. And Pallavi, if I could just come back to you on that also, we've, of course, as Payal mentioned, we've made it clear that India are resolute and tough negotiators here. Do you reckon this is going to send a message of sorts to the US also, if at all?
Well, I think it's very, very clear, not just to US, but to the world over. As I was just talking about him, one thing which Mr. Piyush Goyal and even the Prime Minister has made it very clear that when it comes to our policies to the world, we are definitely not buckling under any kind of pressure. If you look at the figures which have been given out by the Commerce Ministry, something which even Payal was referring to, actually despite of all this uncertainty we have with America, and this was in the backdrop of this entire rice controversy and a statement coming in from the American President Donald Trump, India's trade with America has actually seen an increase of around 7 to 8%, 8.2% if you go by the Commerce Ministry figures. That's a huge amount, which goes on to show that India has not had to pay the price for, sticking to its ground. And what is our ground? One, looking at newer markets, and that is why FTA has become very important. I mean, there was a time when, for example, lychees from Muzaffarpur or from Dehradun, they are being sent to Qatar, they are being sent to Dubai. We are looking at new products, new markets. That is one strategy, that you are making that as a counter to America in case American markets start closing down for most of the Indian products. But internally also we are creating a domestic market. Now, one of the bulk of India's exports to America was actually in the realm of fisheries, particularly I would say seafood, which is prawns. Now that is a sector which was hit hard in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha. You have a huge amount of supply, but how do you generate demand? That is where the government has also stepped in domestically to ensure SOPs are given to the prawn fishery industry. But more than that, people are also encouraged to go in for the domestic products. So we are creating a domestic market. We are also creating a newer global markets, which is why the free trade agreements, or the FTAs as they are called, are extremely significant. And the seventh one of them all, which we are signing between India and New Zealand.
Absolutely. Let me just highlight this for our viewers one more time. India and New Zealand have signed a free trade agreement. New Zealand has a substantial dairy industry, and it's been made clear that we won't open up our markets completely to the New Zealand dairy and agro products, and that is a major aspect of this FTA also. Now, Pallavi, let me just come back to you at the risk of sounding like a broken record here. Of course, you're talking about Atmanirbharta as well as FTA. We live in a largely multipolar, globalized world, and if you could just once again, for the benefit of our viewers, spell it out how India has masterfully been able to balance this symbiotic relationship between the two.
You must have heard the speeches of the Prime Minister when he had said that there was a time where we used to also import sewing machine needles and nails, for that matter, those iron nails. So there was a time India was so dependent on our imports, whether it comes to food, whether it comes to pharma sector. Incidentally, India happens to be one of the largest pharma sector exporters and substantially to America. So if anyone is going to be hit by this, is actually going to be America, because they are going to be forced to buy pharma from, say, China, which may not be at the good quality which India is able to offer. But having said that, there was a time in India was heavily dependent on our imports. The same products which we depended on abroad is now being made here also. And frankly speaking, many of it was already easily available, but people were not being made aware of it. I can give a quick example. When recently the Commerce Minister was in Maharashtra and he spoke about signing up an agreement with Prada, and this is because of the Kolhapuri chappals. Remember the huge outrage which was there, which took place over Prada selling over 1 lakh rupees per one Kolhapuri chappal? Well, we've made that signing up an agreement with them. So Indian products finding a global footprint and a domestic demand being generated, that really is I would say the trade or policy or the economic policy of our country.
All right. Well, Pallavi and Payal, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. For more on this, of course, we'll continue to track all developments on this front closely also. All right, let's shift our focus now. In a fresh twist to the Deepam Rao in Tamil Nadu, security is on high alert at Thiruparakundram Hill for the Sikandar Dargah's Santana Kudu ceremony, with 200 police personnel who've been deployed due to the ongoing disputes that we've been seeing with Hindu groups over lighting the Kartigai Deepam on a nearby pillar, which is really at the heart of this entire row. It's created further tensions, contrasting reports of the state restricting Hindu devotees despite court orders involving protests. We've seen arrests and deferring claims over ritual access on this also.
This is the anti-Hindu, anti-Sanatan face of DMK. On the one hand, the DMK prevents Hindus from lighting the sacred Kartigai Deepam at the Deepathum, the sacred pillar. But on the other hand, it gives permission to the Dargah there to conduct its own ceremonies and to even raise the flag. Why this double standards? Do Hindus have no rights in their own country and their own state? And Congress is with this. Uddhav Sena is with this. TMC is with this. But in reality, all of them are anti-Hindu.
All right, so we are seeing this fresh twist when it comes to the Deepam Rao that we've been seeing play out in Tamil Nadu. We've been given to understand that at least for now, and we were speaking to Purnima earlier about this also, that till the 6th of January is when the ceremony is at the Dargah. Security is expected to remain on high alert, and we are going to see heavy police personnel deployment also there. Now, security, as I mentioned earlier, is on high alert at the Thiruparakundram Hill for the Dargah's Santa Kudu ceremony, with 200 police personnel who've been deployed up till now due to the ongoing disputes within the Hindu groups that we've seen over lighting the Kartigai Deepam on a nearby pillar, which is at the heart of this entire row. It's further created tensions, and we're also hearing of contrasting reports of the state restricting Hindu devotees despite the court orders. Remember, we'd heard of that statement from the court also saying that no one is above the law, and they've of course ignored the court orders in this particular case involving protests. We've seen arrests and differing claims over ritual access also. So for now, where things stand, there is high security at the hill for the Dargah's ceremony with about 200 police personnel who have been deployed there. From what we gathered by speaking to Purnima, of course, the situation there still remains tense. The Deepam Rao is seeing no end in sight as of now. This is the latest that we're getting right now, that as of now there is high police deployment there, and we are likely to see this up until that event, which is on the 6th of January that we are given to understand by our reporters. So arguments also have been concluded. There have been lots of petitions that have been put in place also. The Tamil Nadu government strongly is contesting the orders by the courts also. They've earlier also said that the petitioner to light a Deepam on an ancient stone pillar near the Dargah at the hilltop, that is at the heart of this entire controversy. For more on this, we have Purnima live with us. Purnima, as we were talking about this earlier, and this is what I was telling our viewers also, you told us that up until 6th of January, the situation is likely to remain tense. Is that correct?
Well, on the 6th of January is when the Sandalwood Festival will be celebrated, and protests, especially from the Hindu activists, is likely to happen closer to the festival date. At the moment, there's heavy police deployment in Tirupurukundram region. And Jan 6th is when the festival is going to happen at the Dargah. So we could see protests erupt closer to the festival date is what sources have told us, which is why situation remains tense. There's unease there at Tirupurukundram because late last night there were protests by the Hindu groups as well, and they were detained later. But right now, tense situation continues, is likely to go on till the 6th of Jan, because that is when the festival is going to take place at the Dargah.
All right, Purnima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. All right, shifting our focus now. Rohit Sharma has revealed that he in fact contemplated retirement after the heartbreaking defeat against Australia in the 2023 ODI World Cup final. Rohit led India enjoyed a dream run. The men in blue won all 9 games in the league stage. They defeated New Zealand, the runners-up of the 2019 WC, in the semi-final to punch their ticket to the final. And coming to the final on the back of 10 back-to-back wins, India stumbled and suffered a 6-wicket defeat. Australia chased down that target of 241 with ease to win the ICC title. Listen to this.
It was a very tough time, honestly speaking, personally for me, because I really put everything into that World Cup, not just 2 months or 3 months before that World Cup, but since I took over as a captain in 2022, there was no energy left in the body, to be honest. It took me literally a couple of months to get back to being myself. At one point, I literally thought that, I don't want to play this sport anymore because it has taken everything out of my body and I don't have anything left in me. So it took a little while for me to get back, because I kept reminding myself that this is something that I love and this is something that I dreamt of, and it is right there in front of me, and I cannot let this go so easily.
All right, and with that, we're going to call it a wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Do stay tuned.